Okay. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Ruby, a community leader from the Homeless People's Federation Philippines. And at the moment, I also coordinate the new platform for the poor people in Asia called Urban Poor Coalition Asia. And I'm also a council leader of the Slum Dwellers International. So maybe I have to take this opportunity to explain what is Slum Dwellers International for those people who don't know. This is the loose network of urban communities in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. This composed of 35 countries who are doing savings, doing housing, and enumeration survey. So for you to know what's this Slum Dwellers International, that's what's being discussed this morning and in the whole sessions. So I will begin with my presentations to a data. So this is the data for the urban poor communities in Asia. There's 2/3 of the world's poor live in Asia, and 700 million people in Asia and the Pacific live on the dollar a day, and then 400 million of them is residing in the urban areas. So what are the common issues that these poor people in Asia are facing? So this insecure housing and land tenure that leads to evictions of slum, and vulnerability of the disasters, especially in the Philippines, who are often visited with typhoon and results to flooding and landslide that affects the lives of the community people. Lack of access to basic services that leads also poor sanitations and high-risk health issues, and the limited access to funds. So what are we doing? As part of our people's process is undertaking community mapping and enumeration processes, setting up community development funds at different levels, participation in community planning activities, and establish strengthening community-led process. So why community mapping? To address the different issues we face, we should find our own solutions and not to wait for the government to address this issue or to provide solutions for us. So these are the process that I want to share, where the community people are the main actor of the development in a barangay or in a city level. So why we do mapping? Mapping is the basic tool to bring the community together and get right informations and to better understand the situations of the community that they have residing. So through mapping, we use this as participatory planning process or mapping to link community to know and work together and to be organized. And this is also the outcome of the mapping is the planning process on how to address the issues that we have. So mapping is the tool also to negotiate and ask a support whatever agencies that we want to ask for a support, like how to address the issue that we are identified in the mapping. So the basic informations that we are asking in the mapping in the community is how many household, informations of the household, how many scattered urban poor groups like the renters, the homeless, and then it also generate informations about the concerns and the issues of the community. So, and it builds relationship in the city to the city developments. Like if we have these all issues and concerns that can be handed over to the local government and can be prioritized in terms of doing the solutions in the city. So this shows the pictures, like this is from Fiji. These are the process of how they map themselves. So it's like a children that they are mapping in the whole settlement. It's not to be educated that you can be part of the mapping process, because this is very easy, and then this process is supported by the community architects in different places. So this is if they gather their informations and they are working in small groups. And then some of the mapping are also telling stories on the history of the settlement, and others show the problems and possible solutions. So after they gather the mapping, and then they have to get the piece of the map of every community and put up in a settlement in a citywide perspective. Like they have this doing different communities, mapping out their communities, and they have to get together and put it in a citywide concept. So this is an example of the mapping in Indonesia. So this is very powerful. Like in Cambodia, they have mapping enumerate like 27 cities. They almost cover the whole provinces in Cambodia, and the result of this is that they had very clear informations that can be used also as a proper development in the city. So it also shows in Vietnam and in the Philippines, we are doing mapping, but more specific in the danger zone areas. So why danger zone areas? Because this is the areas that needs priorities and immediate response by the government. And oftentimes, these communities are not seen because they are hiding under the bridge, in the shoreline, and very vulnerable situations that they had. But only the politicians saw them in times of election, they go down. So, but because of this mapping, we can put them in the picture that there are communities there living and needs immediate response because of this high-risk living. So this is also in Vietnam mapping. So the second is we have to set up community development funds at different levels. This is the savings program. We started saving since 1995. So because this is the issue of the poor people, that we have little income, unaffordable, many of us are in debt, we have no steady income, insecure jobs, and no asset to guarantee. But because of this issue, we found out that we have to go together because we need to generate our own resources, because we had already mapping out our issues and how to resolve these issues without any funds within us. So if we rely on the government funding, we still wait for the government to supply funds for that. But if you have already the funds, you are very powerful to do something, solutions on your issues in the community. So since 1995, we had these savings, and we managed to buy land, because this is also our issues in the Philippines, that land belongs to the private owners, and you have to acquire this through like direct selling or through community mortgage program. This is the government program that assists the urban poor in acquiring lands. So this is the issue of any informal housing with formal financial arrangement for individual poor are risky and difficult to reach by majority of the poor. So nobody trusts us, but because we build our networks in a scale, putting savings, so there is a possibility now that most of us are acquiring land through our savings program. So like the picture shows that this is not only mobilizations of money, but we mobilize community people out of their savings. We organize people by this savings program. So it's not only on the financial aspect, but because they are managing savings, they increase the financial systems on their own. So savings as managed by the community themselves. And because of these savings, we can also lend this to our member communities in times of difficulties like land acquisitions, documentations of transfer of the certificate. If they are getting some certificate of titles, you have to process documentation. So that's the use of the savings that we had. So this is realizing the need to address issues. So that's the time why people get together and put some funds in the community, in the city level, and in the national level. So this is also one example of the network in Thailand, as mentioned by David a while ago, that there's a large network in Thailand doing the savings, and because there is a quasi-NGO, Cody, that also give grants because they saw that these community are potentials of giving grants and also manage their own fund. So they allocate all the funds in housing, infrastructures, and even in the welfare. So in the Philippines also, we are doing this to leverage some funds from the government. But if they are not giving money, we can also translate it into equipment or whatever resources that they can extend as a support to the community process. So in Sri Lanka, these are the very powerful women savings group, and they had managed like a bank at billions of money that they have now managing, and they're still running as a bank, but more bank for the community people. So recently, we also launched our platform called Urban Poor Coalition Asia, and we have started to mobilize UPCA revolving fund to support Asian community action activities to support the community upgrading processes. So after mapping, after setting up funds, we also had a community planning. So community planning is the outcome of the mapping results. It's that if you have these issues and concerns, how people respond the issues. So part of the process is to plan with the community. So part of the planning is to design their houses, to design the upgrading, and then it gives space to the community to be part of the designing and decision making in the process of the community planning. So this also encourage all the professionals in the university and academe to engage the community in this kind of process. So maybe this is very new to other countries, but it's now existed that people are aware of how they will design their houses, how they will design their site. Because not only, like in the Philippines, we are giving houses through National Housing Authority. But now we have to demonstrate that people can do if there is a space or trust that being given to the community to deliver solutions. Okay. So this shows how housing also has been designed in the community. So a lot of design, and we also consider the affordability of the community, because it's not only dreaming for a big house, but to consider also their capacity to repay if this is a loan from the saving scheme. So this is so this is also what we are doing. So we have doing housing design workshop based on the community's plan, and then we had also the process of procurement. It's like if we are building houses, we also gun training or process in procuring the materials. So this is a community planning in Cambodia. So this is a comprehensive site planning. This is also, we encourage that if we buy land, we have to consider how people survive, not only putting houses, but to maximize the use of the land. Because this is the trend that we have to identify land and put all the houses, especially if you deal geodetic engineers that needs to divide into a plots. But if community plan ahead to how to design their site, it should be considered the livelihood aspects of the community to survive. So this achieved concrete actions form of community upgrading projects. So we are very lucky because we have this Asian Coalition for Housing Rights give us grant for the ACA program, but we treated all these grants as a revolving fund to expand our process in the city. So this is the picture how upgrading process was being doing by the community. There's a before and after the implementations of the projects. This is the picture of the Philippines. So it's like a demonstrations on how these 18 meters riprapping, but leverage some fundings to develop the roads and continue the whole stretch of the seashore to riprap all the shoreline. So it's like you demonstrate and you can liberate support from the local government. It's not easy, but you have to find ways how to support this kind of process. So this is the examples. So yeah, I have to. So this is also an alternative technology that we are producing, blocks, to reduce the cost of the materials that we had facing now in the Philippines. The steel bars are keep on very expensive, and we explore another technology that could also address the issue of high cost. So this is, and maybe this is my 10 key ideas. So the communities are the prime movers and the solution makers in this process. We are emphasizing on the actions. It's a citywide scale. And we have to be strategic in the use of the resources because we are giving loans a small amount, but they are effectively used and efficiently use the funds. Each city, its people can solve its own problems. Goal is structural change. So more on the policy change, building on what the people have, the principle of spreading out, and the principle of insufficiency, and the real needs as a driving force. So because of this initiative, we try to change also some of the local government to support this kind of process. But this process should be supported locally because we believe that outside funding can be stopped, cannot sustain anymore. But if we can leverage from the local authorities and the government, this process can be sustained. So I'll end up my presentation. Thank you.